lore, the tea, the family drama.
Next to someone that is so proud of you and that you're so proud of, it just makes it just clicks. Everything just makes so much more sense.
Need to know more? Need an insider scoop.
Imagine Rachel Zegler, radiant in a designer gown, standing next to a proud mentor backstage. Just months ago, it looked like nothing could stop her. But then, in a move nobody predicted, Rachel did something wild. She cut ties with her entire team. Her agent, manager, publicist, all gone. No warning, no formal statements. Just silence.
My name's Rachel Zegler, and I'm getting ready, and I'd love if you came inside and came on the journey with me. Welcome to my hotel room. Come in, come in, come in. Team! We're doing it again! Team!
In the span of 1 week, her inner circle disappeared like they were never there. One by one, erased from her professional life. And this didn't happen during a slow career slump. This happened while she was still booked and praised, right when you'd think she needed her team the most. So what could drive someone to blow up everything they built?
I'm a narcissist.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
What's really going on behind the scenes? Was it a power grab or something darker? And as whispers start to leak from the people she left behind, the story starts to unravel in ways nobody expected. But it all started with what insiders are calling the Great Disappearance. On the outside, Rachel looked calm. Her Instagram posts were poetic. She quoted spiritual guides, wore soft pastels, and shared gratitude. But behind closed doors, she was cutting people loose like a blade. No goodbyes, no explanations. One day her team had full access. Calls, calendars, control. The next, nothing. Ghosted, blocked, done. This wasn't just a quiet reshuffling of staff. It was a full-on purge. One assistant allegedly said it was like she disappeared and came back as someone else. Some of these people had been with her since the West Side Story breakout. These weren't just co-workers, they were supposed to be family. And yet, she didn't flinch. No public acknowledgement, no tribute posts, no thank you for your service message, just silence. It was fast, cold, and intentional. This wasn't panic. It was something much more calculated. But what triggered the first domino? That's where things get messy. The industry couldn't agree on what just happened. Some whispered she was having a full-blown breakdown. Others claimed it was the ultimate power move. Either way, it happened just weeks after the Evita disaster. That project was already a storm. Leaked arguments, walkouts, and backstage fights. Rachel was humiliated in real time while her own team stayed silent. No press statement, no damage control. No one stepped in to protect her. People started asking, was she spiraling or finally waking up? Did she snap under the pressure or realize her inner circle was part of the problem? It didn't help that the Evita cast was dropping hints that things behind the scenes were way worse than anyone thought. The timing was no coincidence. The moment she lost the narrative, she started pulling plugs. And when the rumors about betrayals started surfacing, that's when things took a darker turn. Now, here's where it gets real murky. While headlines said Rachel dumped her team, insiders whispered it was already falling apart before she made the first call. Allegedly, her agent was already shopping her around to rival studios, without her permission. Her manager, rumored to have called her too difficult to handle on a private Zoom. Her publicist, said to have warned her not to poke the bear during Evita rehearsals when she clashed with senior cast members. Rachel saw it all as betrayal. Like the people paid to have her back were just trying to save their own careers. One source even said she caught wind of plans to phase her out quietly. That's when she acted. She didn't just fire them, she erased them. But it didn't stop there, because the drama was about to spill into the public. It only took one interview to ignite the firestorm. Rachel was promoting Snow White when she made a comment that instantly went viral, and not in a good way. Fans turned fast. Hashtags calling for boycotts popped up within hours. The internet roasted her. But instead of playing it safe or apologizing, Rachel changed. She stopped filtering. She got blunt, angry, raw. And then one insider dropped the bomb. She's nuking the whole industry. That quote spread like wildfire. She wasn't just losing control. She was torching bridges. The internet was watching, popcorn in hand, while Hollywood's rising star set her own stage on fire. And her team? Silent. Again. But behind that silence, something more unsettling was happening. It started like a whisper, barely noticeable. One day, Rachel Zegler's agent just vanished. No farewell post, no official announcement, not even a good luck message on social media. The agency scrubbed her name clean off their roster, like she never existed. People in the industry noticed immediately. Whispers turned into murmurs. Something was going down, but no one knew what. Then, her manager dropped off. Not in a quiet, subtle fade like the agent. This one was more like a silent scream. No Instagram tags, no birthday posts, nothing. The connection just severed. Industry insiders started speculating. One person leaving might be an accident. Two? That's a pattern. And then, almost like clockwork, the final blow came. Her publicist cut ties. The very person who was supposed to protect her from media disasters, control the narrative, and clean up any mess suddenly disappeared. No statements, no transition, no PR spin to explain it. It was like she was being erased by the very people she trusted to build her image. This wasn't some panicked reaction to a bad headline. This was cold, clean, and calculated. It was a methodical teardown of her entire team, like she had a checklist and was crossing off names one by one. Some people close to the situation say Rachel had a strategy, that this was a long time coming, that every goodbye had a story behind it. A betrayal, a comment, a move made behind her back. Others say it was the result of burnout, that she snapped, that she felt like her team was more loyal to the industry than to her. But the truth? Still a mystery. What we do know is this: Rachel didn't try to replace them. She didn't run to new agents or hunt down a fresh PR firm. She went dark. That silence, more than anything, told people that something serious was going on behind the scenes. And it wasn't just the public who was confused. Even industry veterans were stunned. You don't just fire your whole team at the peak of your career unless something massive has gone wrong. Or unless you're trying to send a message. Whatever Rachel's motives were, this move created a ripple effect through Hollywood. Agents started whispering that she was too hot to handle. Studios began second-guessing whether to keep her name attached to major projects. Casting directors, always cautious, started looking elsewhere. And yet, Rachel stayed silent. No Instagram posts to explain, no subtle likes or tweets to hint at what had happened. Just silence. But that silence, it spoke volumes. And the industry, it wasn't done reacting yet, because what came next would pull back the curtain on just how messy things had really gotten. As the media storm grew louder, Hollywood went into crisis mode. Studio execs, yes, the ones at the top, were reportedly flying out in person, begging Rachel to stop posting. She was assigned a shadow PR rep, someone tasked with quietly babysitting her digital presence. But it didn't work. Rachel wasn't listening. She ignored media advice, declined interviews, and reportedly refused to read talking points. Her own team started blaming each other behind the scenes. "We tried," one of them allegedly told a journalist off the record. She didn't want help. The people who once shaped her image were now treating her like a lost cause. But Rachel didn't care. She wasn't asking for permission anymore. And then, the final cut confirmed it. She wasn't just burning the system, she was done with the fixers. Her publicist had been her last line of defense, the one person who could spin anything, the shield between Rachel and the headlines. And yet, she was the final one Rachel axed. Fans were confused. Why remove the only person trained to protect your brand? But behind the scenes, a theory was gaining traction. Rachel believed her team had stopped protecting her and started protecting themselves. Leaks weren't just coming from social media, they were coming from inside the house. She felt exploited. Like every bad moment became gossip, every meltdown became someone else's problem to spin. She wasn't just cleaning house, she was cutting the cord. Entirely. And that's when the leaks hit the fan. A private group chat reportedly surfaced. And it wasn't pretty. Allegedly, Rachel discovered messages where her own team mocked her. Phrases like PR nightmare and too emotional were thrown around. Someone even joked about how to contain the damage after Evita. For Rachel, it was the ultimate betrayal. These weren't trolls online. These were her inner circle. People she trusted. People who smiled in her face. then mocked her behind the scenes. That discovery may have been the final straw. She didn't just feel betrayed, she felt played. And when that group chat leak started making its way to industry insiders, the floodgates opened because one of them talked. After the purge, someone she fired didn't go quietly. Private message boards lit up with anonymous posts, all pointing fingers back at Rachel. Then came screenshots, Slack messages, alleged emails. One showed a team member calling Rachel the damage, not the victim. It was brutal. This wasn't a controlled leak, it was war. Every whisper became a headline. Every old text became evidence. Her entire brand, what little of it was left, was now up for grabs. And the person leaking? Still unknown. But they were clearly close. Too close. And as the leaks kept coming, the projects started disappearing too. Suddenly, Rachel was no longer attached to several upcoming projects. Paddington 3? Quietly recast. An Apple TV animated series? Never mentioned again. Officially, reps blamed scheduling conflicts and the actors' strike. But insiders had another take. She was becoming a brand risk. The Snow White backlash had turned radioactive. Parents were pulling their kids. Merch was flopping. Studios didn't want that heat. And they definitely didn't want to be her next PR cleanup job. Rachel wasn't just losing roles, she was being erased. But even as her world fell apart, she made it clear. This was all her choice. Every firing, every cut, every sudden silence came after a phone call. Rachel was the one initiating each goodbye, each breakup. Friends and insiders say she wasn't just reacting to pressure or lashing out blindly. Instead, she felt trapped, micromanaged, controlled by the very people she hired to help. She saw her career like a chessboard, and every piece that moved against her was a betrayal. It wasn't chaos, it was a strategy, an attempt to take back control over her life and her narrative, no matter the cost. But where some saw a mastermind trying to reclaim her power, others worried it was a meltdown in slow motion. The lines between fierce independence and instability blurred. Rachel reportedly told close friends she felt suffocated by contracts, by studio demands, by people constantly trying to shape her image into something she wasn't. This purge was her statement. If the industry wouldn't listen, she'd shake the whole system loose. But it was a gamble with everything on the line: her reputation, her future projects, her relationships. And the fallout? It was already happening, darker and louder than anyone expected. The question hanging in the air was this brilliance or breakdown? And either way, Rachel was fully committed to the path she'd chosen, one that no one could turn back from. Hollywood is a place where reputations are fragile currency, and Rachel Zegler's recent move sent shockwaves through casting offices and studio hallways alike. The industry's reaction was swift and brutal. Uncertainty turned into caution, and caution into distancing. Casting directors started pulling back, hesitant to bet on someone they now labeled unstable or high risk. Insiders shared that conversations about Rachel changed from excitement over her talent to whispered warnings about red flags and unpredictability. PR experts who had once admired her boldness now saw her purge of fixers mid-crisis as a fatal mistake, a move that screamed out of control rather than calculated. Executives reportedly expressed concern over her unwillingness to accept guidance, worried that working with her could derail projects or bring unwanted drama. Industry veterans who had once championed her potential now urged colleagues to wait and see rather than jump in. Yet, amidst the whispers and the withdrawals, some creative minds saw something different: a raw authenticity, a refusal to be molded. But authenticity comes with a price in Hollywood. Rachel's image was now a cautionary tale of what happens when talent and volatility collide. And while some doors quietly closed, others began to crack open, but only if she could prove she wasn't a ticking time bomb. The question wasn't just about her next role, it was whether the industry was willing to take that risk at all. As if the drama wasn't already thick enough, new leaks began to surface, this time turning the heat up to an entirely new level. Screenshots from internal chats, messages from managers, and private threads started spreading like wildfire in exclusive industry circles. They painted a troubling picture. Rachel's own team had been sounding alarms about her unpredictability and emotional volatility for months, warning others to steer clear. One leaked message allegedly described her as too unstable for big projects, while another warned a rival agency to stay far away. These weren't casual complaints. They felt like a preemptive strike, attempts to isolate Rachel professionally before she could cause more fallout. The leaks exposed a side of the business rarely seen, the ruthless, behind-the-scenes politicking, and the slow unraveling of trust. Legal sources say talks of possible lawsuits over breach of confidentiality and sabotage are already underway, as Rachel's camp tries to control the narrative and shut down the leaks. This all added fuel to the fire, making Rachel look less like a victim and more like a liability. For a public star, this kind of exposure is career poison. Yet, through it all, Rachel hasn't backed down or apologized. Instead, she's doubled down on her version of events, painting herself as the one who was betrayed, not the betrayer. The leaks might have gone nuclear, but her response has been just as explosive. The chaos all seemed to peak during the Evita rehearsals, which insiders now describe as a nightmare. Rachel reportedly clashed with cast members regularly, pushing creative demands that threw the schedule into chaos. Rehearsal reports leaked to the press called her erratic and combative, painting a picture of someone who was not only difficult, but actively disruptive. At times, she reportedly refused to attend rehearsals altogether, citing creative differences or mental exhaustion. Cast members began walking out, frustrated and exhausted by what they saw as unprofessional behavior. Instead of calming the situation, Rachel accused others of sabotage, insisting she was being undermined by jealous co-stars and staff. That feeling of isolation only grew, pushing her further into a spiral. Those close to the production say it felt like a powder keg ready to blow. And when the cast's walkout happened, it was more than a protest. It was a breaking point. Rachel was left alone, feeling abandoned by the very people who were supposed to support her. That sense of betrayal fueled the final purge of her team and her total media lockdown. The Evita implosion wasn't just a production disaster, it was the moment when Rachel's world cracked open, revealing the fragile state beneath the glittering surface. Not long ago, Rachel Zegler was Hollywood's golden girl. After her breakout role in West Side Story, she was the rising star everyone wanted to work with, the fresh face of a new generation. She had the talent, the look, the charm, and the industry embraced her with open arms. But the whirlwind success came with pressures she wasn't prepared for. The Snow White backlash hit hard, unraveling the carefully crafted image she'd built. Slowly, that bright light began to dim as rumors, controversies, and public missteps piled up. Now, she finds herself isolated, her team gone, her projects shelved, and Hollywood pulling away. Psychologists watching her story call it an isolation spiral, a dangerous feedback loop where the more she pulls away, the more isolated she becomes, and the harder it is to come back. The industry doesn't just remember the star they loved, they remember the one who burned bridges and went dark. The big question now, has Rachel truly taken back control of her narrative? Or has she lost everything in the process? Her story is still unfolding, but one thing is clear. This is no ordinary fall from grace. It's a complex, tragic tale of fame, power, betrayal, and the price of trying to break free in a world that rarely lets stars rewrite their own stories.